everybody? Happy Saturday to you. I'm not sure why that started the YouTube, but happy Saturday to you. I hope you are having a great Saturday so far and an amazing weekend. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion. I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. You know that space that I love so much and love talking about. You know the drill. Hop into the comments, say hey, where you tuning in from while I make sure that we're firing on all cylinders. Hopefully LinkedIn is working all right because I had a little issue earlier with my LinkedIn connecting, but it looks like it's going there. So, okay, we're going on LinkedIn. Whoop, I want to mute that. Looks like we're going on LinkedIn. Let's make sure that we are rocking and rolling on Facebook as well. Definitely, we are rocking and rolling on Instagram. I want to make sure our YouTube channel is going too. Okay, we are rocking and rolling on all cylinders. So hopefully this is going to be a fun episode. Again, my name is Don Terrell. I want to welcome you to another great episode. I want to thank you so much for giving me just a little bit of your time on a Saturday afternoon. I hope you are having an amazing weekend. And I hope you're staying cool wherever you're at because it's been triple digits here for the last week. So we've been suffering. So hopefully where you're at is a little bit cooler there. But we are here every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on LinkedIn. Like I said, the LinkedIn channel, Don Terrell. You can check us out there. Also, we are on our Facebook group. Make sure you jump on over to Facebook group at The Color of Motion. Get plugged into the community. It's growing. Definitely there. You can connect with a lot of great artists and a lot of other creative professionals as well. So definitely hop on over to the Facebook group community and get plugged in. Also, this year, we've started streaming live to the Color of our Instagram page at The Color of Motion. And for the rest of the season, we are running a fun little giveaway. The first comment that comes through from our Instagram Live will receive an Amazon gift card. So if you want an Amazon gift card, all you got to be is the first comment that comes through from our Instagram Live. And definitely, I encourage everybody always to get plugged into the YouTube channel. There is where, everybody, trying to get everybody plugged in and connected there. You can definitely see all the great content. Subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff so that you'll be notified of when the show goes live and new content goes up on the channel. Always trying to grow that. And if any of you know what YouTube has just done, they've upped the views and upped the watch time. So it's making it very hard to get to that, 1,000 level. We're almost there. We're at 905, 910, 905, 906. So we're so close. And definitely want to hit that by the end of the year for sure. Super excited about today's episode. Been looking forward to it. I think plans with my next guest. We're going to dive into that as soon as he comes on. But definitely looking forward to this interview and closing out. This is our last interview, or this is our last episode for the quarter before we take a short hiatus break and make a few changes here and there and kind of rest up. But I'm super glad that you decided to give me a little time on our last episode and help us close out this quarter going into the last quarter of season 6. And there's a lot of great stuff coming up in that last quarter. Gamescom. We're going to be doing the film festival out in Vegas. So Barry's going to be coming back on to talk about this year's Gamescom as well. So a lot of great stuff for sure. I always say I like this show to be an interactive show, engaging. So definitely want you to hop into the comments and engage not only with me, but our guests. I always say you have an opportunity to really learn and pick up a lot of great knowledge, information, pick the brains of a lot of super talented people. I do it, which is one of the things I love about the show. I get a chance to sit down in front of professionals and really ask them questions that I would like to know about, things that I'm curious about and wanting to learn. So take advantage of the opportunity, engage with the guests and learn a few things. All right, I think that's all the housekeeping. No, that isn't all the housekeeping. There's a couple of other things that I want to mention as well. Definitely, I need to get in the habit of doing this. I don't do it as much as I should be, but really asking for support. My mom used to say, "A closed mouth doesn't get fed." It took me a while to get that and understand what that means. It means if you want something, you got to ask for it. And I'm asking for your support in any way possible, whether it's subscribing to the channel or supporting monetarily. That definitely helps me to continue to bring great guests like this. Today's guest on the show, create great content and learning content. So all that helps me to continue to do and create for you. So buy me a cup of coffee, buy me a coffee at Don Terrell. I'm still working on our Patreon page. Hopefully I'll get that up starting, next quarter or next quarter. So, but until then, I do have buy me a coffee page where you can, donate whatever you feel is, appropriate and that you would like to do at Don Terrell. Buy me coffee at Don Terrell. Definitely helps to support the channel for sure. What other thing? I would like to thank our ever-present sponsor for the show, DG Graphics, for always supporting the show. They do all our graphics, overlays, animations, all that good stuff. Basically, make us look good. And if you're a business or a brand that's really looking to level up your brand content, create engaging content that connects with the audience, social media, we all have to be on social media, and having a social media presence is crucial. And creating social content can be a bear. So they can help you with that as well. And I appreciate DG Graphics for always supporting the show. All right. I think that is pretty much all the little housekeeping stuff that we need to do. And we can kind of get this show kicked off and on the right track. What do you say? All right. We are back and ready to rock and roll. And I'm super excited, like I said, to get this episode kicked off and close out this quarter with a bang, bang, bang. My next guest, he is a concept designer, visual storyteller, and an animator driven by passion for creating worlds that inspire wonder. Over the past decade, he's had the opportunity to collaborate with studios and clients across animation, film, themed entertainment, and education, which he is passionate about. Always seeking to combine strong artistic foundations with meaningful storytelling. He believes great design is more than beautiful images. I agree with that too. It's about communicating emotion, clarity, and unforgettable experiences, whether he's developing characters, designing environments, storyboarding a sequence, or mentoring artists. His goal is always the same: to create work that leaves a lasting impact. He's constantly pushing his craft, exploring new technologies, and challenging himself to grow because he believes the best stories and the best artists never stop evolving. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special friend and guest for today's episode, Mr. J.M. Estevez. Yeah, super, super excited. We've been talking. We've both been looking forward to this episode for a while since we connected. I first saw your artwork. It was just blown away by your artwork and knew I wanted to have you on the show. And after talking with you, I'm so looking forward to really doing some more stuff, more teaching stuff, and really having a lot of episodes, learning episodes with you. But today's, I want to dive into, your story, your journey in this industry, the things that you've learned and have gleaned. I always like starting. What was that thing that just sparked your love of animation, artwork, and design? Was there a specific animation? Was there a specific artwork or artist that really just did it for you?
It's like, hi everybody. So nice I'm very honored to be invited and done. So thanks a lot to the Color of Notion. Super cool. We've been, like you said, like waiting for it for a long time.
Long time.
Um, and yeah, so first of all, like thank you for the invitation. And the answering your question, like if I remember my childhood, I remember a really, really happy kid. And I was like all the time full of joy. Before I started even to draw,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice because I just came back from Spain and I actually learned to speak in Spain. So that was my accent when I was a little guy. Um, and I went back there and I remembered all of the joy that I felt about life. Everything about going to the beach to try food, the people, the sweetness of everybody. The Spain actually has like all this amazing culture within arts, within everything, within music, and I was like coming back to me, like even before I wanted to draw. I was already inside something that was really cultural, really about arts. So later on, when I was like, I came back to Colombia when I was like 6 years old, and it's when I started to see like, oh, I started to draw, and I felt like this passion for it. So I think my journey starts when I was 6, I could say, right? When I felt that connection to art. Um, and I started to see like the Disney animated movies, right? And some part of me like knew like, oh, there's people that might be working on that, and I
Yeah.
felt like, oh, that's pretty cool. But it was like something subconscious. At that moment, I wanted for a long time just to be a painter, a classical painter. I was really driven by and I'm really really glad I did, because I think the cornerstones to be a great designer aren't there. You need to understand, the basics, the fundamentals. So I was like really obsessed about how to become like this painter. And it was really cool because I studied actually illustration here in Colombia. And when I was out of the school, it was like pointless for me. Like, oh, okay, I can create images now, but what for? Like, it wasn't exciting for me.
Yeah.
And it came back to me the idea of, oh, you can make things alive through drawing. You can give life to all the images that you create can be alive. So that made me, take the journey into animation. And since then, I've been working on it like for at least 10 years or even more. I've been pursuing this thing, like it's like what they say in the book, The Illusion of Life.
Yeah.
It's like this quintessence. Like you kind of know what it is, but sometimes you get lost and you think, oh, I'm not finding it, and all of a sudden you find it, and it's like this magical thing where you feel like, and I think that's the greatest challenge, to have this. You create an environment for yourself, so those things go through you. Those things happen. You got to create, yeah, like the perfect environment, so those things grow naturally, right? And I think we as artists, when we're way too younger, I mean, when we're way too young, we tend not to pay attention to that environment, right? Like we tend to think like, oh, what I care about when I think about the lemon tree, I just care about the lemon.
Yeah.
But we should be caring about the soil. We should
Yeah.
be caring about the tree itself.
Yeah.
So it gives us like this amazing lemons,
Yeah.
right? Um, so yeah, I don't know if I'm going too much like, but
No,
yeah, you're asking me.
you talk about this love starting out with and wanting to be like a fine artist and starting from just the basics of design. Are you finding that a lot of up and coming animators or creators, they that's what they're lacking, this kind of
Yeah,
basic basic down to basic illustration. I'll admit, when I was going through school,
yeah,
I took fine art classes and all of that, and it wasn't the most that's because I wanted to be a graphic designer and illustrator. So my thought is, why do I need to learn about Picasso and some of the fine
yeah.
arts and really learning color and light and move, just the basics of art and design. Is that what you're seeing a lot of creators now? They're kind of lacking that and they're feeling like they just want to jump into
You
animating
know,
and doing all of that.
yeah, that's super cool. Super cool question. I think the difference and what makes those things so important, it's like the masters from the past were looking at life and at their own culture, and they were involved in a culture, and they were involved in a life, right? So they were able basically to take all of those experiences and turn it into beautiful art. And I think that's a big part of what we're missing nowadays. We get flashy things, right? And we just go to the surface, and we don't go and think like, let's say, what is the thing that makes, like just I just bought this book actually into El Museo del Prado, and from Sorolla, the great one of the great painters from Spain. And what is the thing that makes those paintings so special? In my opinion, it's not just about the technique. It's not just about the surface thing. It's about how he was living a life. And going back to the same lemon tree that I was telling you, uh, he didn't just paint it, this lemon tree. It was part of his own culture. Like, and I was actually like taking my tears off of my eyes a few days ago because I was looking at the book, and I felt Spain in that book. It was absolutely amazing. I even took like lots of pictures and everything, but none of those were even close to the Sorolla paintings,
Yeah.
right? I think that's what we're missing. We're way too much in this little thing nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
that little thing makes us forget what truly matters. And
Yeah.
it might sound like cheesy or whatever, but what matters is a kiss, to fall in love, to have a pet, to
Yeah.
love your family, your girlfriend, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
right? Like all of those little things are to me like something that creates something super special, and you can portray those things later on in your into your creative process. And those masters were so involved not just in technical terms but also in the present moment,
Yeah.
right? They were not bombarded, by all the media, telling them what to think, what to believe. No, they were like, I think about like Sorolla in Spain, and I can see like he was a town guy, right? Almost. Like, and you can see like, oh, he was really caring about his neighborhood, like the fruits, like the countryside,
Yeah.
like the fisherman.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, you made
yeah,
a great point as far as I think that's the core of what makes a great artist is they pull from life and they live life and observe everything that goes on around them. And like you said, that's what they pull and bring to their artwork, animation, whatever it is that they're doing. You have to live life and you have to, just
yeah.
pull from everyday life, everyday occurrences of things that are going on. And that's something that I don't know if they probably do teach it in school. I know it wasn't necessarily taught when I was going to school, but I think now, it's a little more hammered home that if you want to be a great artist, if you want to be a good artist, designer, graphic designer, you have to be observant of what's around you and be able to pull from that. You guys know, like I said, the drill. Mr. J, Jonathan, Mr. Winbush, the GOAT himself. I appreciate you tuning in, brother, and showing up. What up? What up? Tuning in from YouTube. All right. I appreciate that. But when you were like growing up, was it hard in Colombia? Like you said, you came back at 6. In Colombia, was there a great base of people that were like you, interested in the same things as you were, that you could communicate and connect with? Was the industry able to kind of help you along there, or does it still have a great way to go?
I think it's for all of us as artists, we're always like the weird one, right? So always that's that's part of the price that we gotta pay. Like, I mean, like we need to. We're the exception, right? And I don't know if I say that with pride or not. I'm not sure, but it's like
Well,
we gotta be weird in some way, right?
I think it's like an
So
exclusive club. I think we're an exclusive club that, which is why I think we gravitate towards each other and really it's a large community, but it's a small community in the sense that, we know we need to connect with one another, and that's how we learn, and that's how we grow and move around by building relationships and things like that. So yeah, I agree, we're kind of that oddball kind of club, or out of the way, which I feel like it's getting normal now with just the industry. But I definitely feel like creators are a different breed, especially
yeah,
animators, artists. We're kind of that, like I say, close knit group of that. Uh,
and to mention something, John, that I consider really important, it's like making something and turning it alive, make it alive, takes a humongous amount of energy, not just, like being there, focused, think about all of the subjects, like perspective, color, everything about what it takes for that thing to be alive. It takes a humongous amount of effort.
yeah,
So, uh, I think we need to, I mean, at least I've become, to this point in my life where I embrace my loneliness. It's like it is part of the journey. It
Yeah,
is part of being lonely for long periods of time. It's not just what you need, but it's healthy. It's exactly, the seed needs like all of those things, right? It needs to be protected. It needs to be in you need to feed it, you need to do all of those things for long periods of time.
yeah,
So that's another thing that it's we need to be careful nowadays, because we tend to believe that with a splint, like with something like this, we can do things.
yeah,
And sometimes that's true, that sometimes, but that moment of explosion is the result of many years of being pouring energy into it, pouring energy into it.
yeah,
And once that thing, sparkles and starts to be alive, we need to keep, feeding that thing, right?
yeah,
Otherwise, and I see many of the students and many of the artists having that trouble. Like sometimes they started, we have like, I see in many of my students, like they have like this spark, like this beautiful thing, and they just think about something else, right? And that was the moment to keep going, just to keep going. When we start to see like, oh, that they have like, I don't know, like some hand drawings, and like you see like, oh, there are a couple of hands that you did there. Those are really working. Those are going really cool, and you just celebrate and you stop doing it, right?
yeah,
Instead of like thinking, oh, that's the energy I need to apply to it. That's the and remember, like, what is the thing that I was thinking and doing while I was doing that specific thing?
yeah,
So when you start to remember, like, oh, this portrait worked. So you start to remember like everything about what made that portrait work. What was my mindset? What was, even if I slept, if I did exercise that day or whatever, like everything makes that portrait work or
yeah,
whatever it might be, right? So I think it's really important for us, to always keep in mind, like that mindset of keep
yeah.
evolving, keep
Well, you brought up a great point of, you know, so many, especially younger, I guess the younger generation, and I admit I have a hard time with it too, as far as, jumping around and focusing on whatever it is, that thing that you're doing. Do you feel like social media and this time that we're in of just distractions and not being able to sit down with yourself and just pour out whatever it is that you're working on? Do you feel like social media and just the pressure of social media and watching what other people are doing, comparing yourself to other people, kind of lends into this kind of squirrel mentality of jumping around from this to this, and you focus on this for a second and then you see this and you want to jump over to that again? It's something that, I'll admit it's very hard, when you got all these things coming at you now that you didn't necessarily have. you know I can say when I was younger, it was so much easier, because we didn't have the cell phone. When I was growing up, there wasn't a cell phone. We didn't have a lot of channels like we do now. We didn't have social media. So being able to sit down and just in front of a piece of paper and just entertain myself in what I was
yeah.
doing and creating was so much easier then than it is now. Kind of talk about that in the sense of how, the impact of social media as with just I guess distracting us in a way. We got to use it as, obviously, as far as marketing and getting our work out there, but that fine line of letting it distract you, and not enjoy the quiet time of sitting down and creating something as creators, what we do.
Yeah, that's something that I love, when I'm working in big projects and studios, like there's no time for cell phone. And I don't do anything. So I would highly advise that you should have you should put yourself dates, right? Like think like, okay, I'm gonna do this and at this moment of the month, I need to do this whole project, right? And think about, imagine like that project that you're doing if you're getting started. Think about that project. It's your client. I don't know. It's Steven Spielberg, right? So you need to present him that project. So if you think about that and you think like, oh, this is Steven Spielberg, and I really need to show this guy like the best of my work, I don't have time for myself, right? I don't have time to waste. Uh, so yeah, going back to the studio thing, um, those moments is like when that magic starts to happen. Like it's funny because nowadays people get like social media gives us this fake um, image of things happening so fast, right? So it's like now with a prompt, you can do so many things,
Yeah.
right? And like it takes you 5 seconds, but in a prompt you're not doing anything. You're telling the computer what to do, right?
Yeah.
So if you really want to take like the full um, joy and the full understanding of an image, uh, you need to do the slow part. So I remember like I was doing a project for Sony Pictures, and we were doing a theater. I had this. I needed to do like one image for the trailer of an animated trailer, and I needed to do this theater with it needed to be super elegant and super everything about it. And at that moment in my life, I was really in love with a lady. She was super beautiful, and I was crazy about this lady. She was like to me, she was like the most beautiful ever, right? So I placed some of the sculptures in that project, and she's there. She's there in those sculptures in that theater. So you pour a lot of things about yourself and those things, right? You pour your full soul and heart and all of those things. And that's what makes them personally so special.
Yeah.
And that's something that you cannot do with a prompt,
Yeah.
right? Because that illustration, it could be poetic or whatever what you want to call it, but I needed to caress that lady for 3 days, to make her and turn her into something that, to turn her and make her alive.
No.
Uh, but in a prompt, I can do that. Like, there's no way, right? There's like I just did it like just a phrase, and I didn't understand the light. I didn't understand the temperature. I didn't understand the textures. Why I did some. Now there's no choice about what you're doing and why you're doing it. So it's like uh, the full process in doing those images and taking yourself the time to do this is what makes them special and what makes them uh, valuable, right? For you or for other people. It doesn't matter. But it's the thing that makes them entertaining, right? A prompt to me, it's not like that, right? And the other cool thing is like the more you practice it, the it's like you have the power within you. So you don't need a prompt. You don't need any of those things.
Yeah.
The only thing that the hard part of it is that it's going to take a long time to do. Like in order for you to be content with your images, probably it's going to take you 10 years. I don't know, or even more,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Well, I
but
think
I think
that's what, and I want to dive into that because you brought up, and I was going to
yeah,
ask you about this, obviously, with the rise of generative AI and the prompting, like you said. You bring up this great point of kind of jumping over the hard part of sitting down and really just, creating something and feeling like that. But obviously, companies are doubling down on generative AI. The talk is generative AI, and these tools are learning super fast. How do you impress upon younger, creatives that, obviously they're getting fed more and more generative AI and AI stuff and hearing all of this stuff. How do you impress upon them just the difference of, what AI is and where it's going to make this impact, and where it should sit, and where do you feel like AI sits in this whole process, because it is something that's obviously not going to go away, and it's
Yeah.
just going to get better. Where where do you see it sitting in a creator's process, if at all?
The funny thing is there's a thing that I consider highly important, and it's not to not because it's fast, it's better, right? That's the thing that I highly um recommend everybody to think, right? The movie that moved you to tears and you think like, oh, this is the best thing. You were never thinking how long it took or how long, how long is the movie? You never ask those things. It's just the human thing, the touching thing, the quintessence. There's something that you cannot, and I think that's the thing that drives them crazy, right? It's the thing that it doesn't matter what you do. At the end, you can have glimpses of what it is, but you cannot tell what it is, right? So, and the only way to find it is through experiencing life, right? At least that's the way I see it, right? And it's the same thing. If we're in our cell phones, right, watching reels and Instagram or whatever, you let it on the side. After 2 hours of doing that, what was there? What happened? You didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
There's no experience from value that you took from that thing. But if you go to the, I don't know, to the countryside, right? And you spend 3 days and the river and you feel the cold of it and I don't know, you get a flu, whatever. It doesn't need to be like something great, but those things are life. And I think we need to go back into those things, not in order, not because I want to sound like an old guy or whatever, but it's more like the experience itself is what it's so rewarding, and what makes it worth seeing by somebody else.
Yeah.
If I tell you, like the story that I told you about, like the theater scene, right? Nowadays, like nothing happened to that with that girl. She broke my heart. To be honest, like she was like really like an insane lady, and I was just inspired at the moment, and it was so heartbreaking for me. Like it was so hard, but when I see that image, it brings me back those memories. It
Yeah.
brings me back like the beautiful part of it.
Yeah.
And I believe if we look at the curve, like beyond going and all of those abstract things, look at the quality, and I think they tend to tell us like it is not an objective thing, but I think it is. When we look at the 90s movies, when we look at the Oscars and the winners, like those, I mean, the 90s for me were like absolutely astonishing. I mean, they were like insane. The quality in writing, the quality in everything, quality in acting, the quality about everything was top notch. And the more the technology and producers have been increasing, the quality in art has become lower and lower and lower.
Yeah.
So nowadays, when I'm looking at, I don't know, at Netflix or something, I try to go for the old movies. And I think I'm not the only one. I see a lot of people doing that. Probably we're the weird ones, I don't know. But I see the more the time passes, people it's going back to
Yeah.
see what matters most, what was special, right?
Yeah.
And those things that are special, they're nothing to do with AI. They're nothing to do with how fast you can do those things. It's not about a budget. It's not about any of those things. It's about the human soul. It's about
Yeah.
the And it's about that driven force, so I can keep going. And no matter what, I'm gonna keep going, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep creating beautiful art, and it doesn't matter because I love it. I
Yeah.
love it, right? It I don't know, a machine can come and do things 10, like it's insane nowadays, right? A
Yeah.
machine can do like in 5 seconds something that would take me, I don't know, in like 3 days, right?
Yeah.
But
But I think it's the
but
I think another thing is it's also the imperfections that come along with that, because it's something that which is a natural thing. And I think that's what brings the originality. It's not polished perfect, but it's something that, shows just like you said, your progression or your feeling about something. It may show the imperfections of just the artwork. I tell everybody, if you really want to get an appreciation for the art, watch the behind the scenes of stuff, and it'll really show you and give you an appreciation of the craft that goes into making an animation, making stop motion, making a sculpture, whatever it is. Watch somebody making it. You'll get a real appreciation of the artisan skill and the time that somebody has spent learning it and getting better at it and putting and despite wow, this little scratch is in there, but it has meaning to it. That type of thing.
yeah, and I think it's a little bit concerning, the fact that those things are, I was at the beginning, I was really enthusiastic about AI, and I was like really, really thinking, oh, this is a great thing, right? Uh, but the more time has been passing, and I've been seeing like what's happening in reality, I don't like it at all. Uh, and I don't know, who knows? Probably it might be that I'm not young anymore. I don't know, like probably I'm the problem or whatever. But
uh,
many of like I think it's doing a really cultural damage, because we need there's there's an infinite amount of reasons why we do something. It's not just because we want to do it fast or we want to do it like something that it's on. You know, we want to. It's like the thing that I was telling you about the theater, right? It's like that little thing that makes it so special for
yeah,
me, but creates culture, right? And that's not something that you cannot. There's no way to create that in 5 seconds.
yeah,
I mean, how, like, you and me, for instance, right? Done. I'm starting to consider you my friend, but we've been talking for long hours, and
yeah,
I'm starting to connect to you and really get to know you. But no matter what you say in 5 seconds, I don't know who you are,
yeah,
right? And the same thing, that goes back ways,
yeah,
obviously, right?
yeah,
So I think we need to be really careful about all of those lies,
yeah,
and that's really beautiful because I see a lot of, most of the young artists are like really upset about AI, and in many ways we should, but I think we need to be careful because it's not about just being mad about it. It's like about showing why this, like, why there's something better, right?
yeah,
Like, it's not enough, to complain. No, it's like, oh, okay, now what can I do to bring to the table to make it better,
yeah,
right? There's like um, the same thing with scripts. You see like I don't know what's happening with scripts. Many times like I'm looking at the screen nowadays and like really that's happening. Like it doesn't make any sense. It's like it's really stupid, right? Um, and it's because of that. It's like no one lived through that situation, so they can take that conclusion, right? I don't know if you want to write about love, at least you had to better get up and fall in love once, like otherwise, like what are you gonna write about,
yeah.
right?
You have to experience it to
Yeah,
really,
it's the
yeah,
only way.
yeah,
And that's that's a funny thing because this thing, it's super comfortable for us. It's super comfortable. It doesn't create any pain.
Yeah.
It's like the Brave New World. If you haven't read that book, it's amazing. Like injecting us like happiness, like fake happiness, right? But true happiness, sadly, many times it comes with a terrible pain,
Oh yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And many of the beautiful, great pieces of art, sadly, they come with a humongous amount of pain.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So we need to live. We need to live. Like go on, and just leave this thing on the side, like the cell phone, and go talk to people. Go to nature.
Yeah.
Go to your dog. I don't know, to your pet, whatever. But
And I
yeah,
think that's the hard thing that people have again because of this device. I mean, it's again, I've lived long enough to see the progression, but it's amazing how quickly this has become tied to, it's like an essential tool for people and they're lost without it and don't get out and experience life, whether it's just taking a walk in the neighborhood and watching your neighbors do whatever it is, or going to the park and enjoying that and observing other people out and about. While technology, I always say technology is a great thing, and you're not going to stop technology and growth. But it has the danger part is it disconnect. While it connects us in a lot of great ways, it disconnects us in a lot of ways. I think are more detrimental because you got a lot of people they would rather text than have a conversation. You got a lot of
yeah,
kids now that can't even hold a conversation in person because they're so used to talking on the phone or texting on the phone or social media. Their social skills have diminished. Just being able to be social with people and connect with people. Um, when you were coming in to the industry, was there one thing that was really hard for you to kind of, you know, grasp or get? I mean, as you were starting to do storyboarding and starting to get work and starting to work on projects and studios, what was that first big hurdle that took you a little bit to kind of jump over, or it was a little cumbersome to kind of get around? Was it the technology of learning animation? Was it the software? Was it what was it that was that kind of thing that you struggled with initially?
struggle initially.
As far as building it, as far as getting into the industry and kind of getting into the pace of doing work, and
I
really
think
working.
Yeah, I think like we need to have two things. I don't know who said it, but I remember the concept, which is you should need yeah, we need to be lucky, right? But what does it mean to be lucky? We need to have the ability, the right ability, and the right moment. That's it. That's exactly what we need. So I don't know if I go to a town where everybody it's great with tomatoes, I should be a tomato expert, right? I'm gonna be like really happy about that, right? So it's always like that. You should always be taking care of those two things, right? And the more you can increase the chances of those two, the more they will connect, and you'll have a successful career, right?
Yeah.
I because many times, like I've been with no job or whatever, and because I've been working so hard on my skills, I just go to a place where I know I can find a job and I get it, right? Uh, Almost, I would say like 100% of the times it happens like that, right? Um, so you need to have like those two things, right?
Well,
And many young artists yeah,
no, well,
tell me.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Did you go through this period of, I guess, imposter syndrome, or feeling like, wow, you're in this now,
Many
you're in
times,
this space. Can my work and can my skill keep up and is good enough to do? talk about syndrome a little, because I think a lot of, especially younger up, we all do at some point or another. Um,
Yeah.
Especially now in this time of social media, and you're comparing yourself and you're seeing other people's work that you're like, man, I can't, I can never get up to that level of art or design or this and that. Talk a little bit about imposter syndrome and how you kind of dealt with it and kind of got through it as you were starting your journey in, in the industry.
Yeah, because it's part of the the previous question. I remember when I went, like, I was really I've always been really driven to become a better at my skills. To how can I be better? How can I be better? So I'm always looking for more ways and how can I improve and how can I be better in terms of everything, in terms of coloring, in terms of design, in terms of perspective, anatomy, all of the fundamentals. So I'm always going after those, right? So I remember when I graduated from animation, I really wanted to go into studio, like the best studio there was at the time here in Colombia. So it was like that. It was because I had like this disabilities. The moment they needed someone, I just got hired, right? And it was just about that. I just needed to have like those two things at the same time. So sometimes something happens, which is you have the skills, but you don't have the environment.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that has happened to me many times and to many artists that I've been spoken to, right? I've been talking to, right? Many times I've been, uh, working in a bakery. I was like doing nothing to do with what I do. I've been in the countryside, just cleaning stuff. Many things, right? And you think it's really hard because you think, oh, I have all these abilities and nothing is happening. So you need to always, I think, always have those two things in mind. If I'm totally sure that my abilities at a great level, I need to improve my environment, right? But if my environment is great and no one gets me hired, it means I need to improve my skills, right? So sounds really simple, but it's really hard, and
this,
to do it,
the,
to
the,
solve
the
it.
simple things are the hardest ones. You know
Yeah.
how that goes. Everybody, we're having an amazing conversation with my man JM, talking about design, passion, art. Definitely hop into the comments, say hey, and all of that. Like I said, you have the opportunity. You have the opportunity. Ask him, pick his brain, because that's exactly what I'm doing for sure. Is picking his brain about his thoughts and his skills. Um, you do a lot of different. You do a lot of different things. You do storyboard. You design. You animate. Did how do you? Well, initially, did you focus on one thing, or how do you corral as a creative, you like doing different things, but getting, as you said, your skill set up to a point on one thing. Do you think artists today they're more hyper focused as opposed to, okay, I want to do all these different things? Do you think it's better to focus on, hey, if I want to be an animator, I need to focus on animating rather than modeling or
I mean,
designing or whatnot?
I've been doing more about concept design, about background, about other things. Animation, not so much. That's the thing that I do. I've been doing the least. Uh, but answering to your question, I think the thing that we all of us we need to as artists we need to be paying attention to the most it's your drawing skills. Because when you have drawing skills, you can do anything. And you can be, I mean, you can go into sculpture, you can go into painting, you can go into concept design, you can go into character design, into whatever you want, right? But the essential thing that I've always been obsessed about, um, it's drawing. And what is the cool thing about drawing? It's like it gives you the mindset and the tools so you become free, right? Because whatever it is, if you can draw it, it means you understand it.
Yeah.
And if you understand it, that's it. That's all you need, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, it's really great later on that you can start to study tone, that you can start to study temperature, that you can start to study painting, you can start to study another like bunch of things. But I would highly advise you, like if whatever it is, like the most exciting thing for me and the most complete thing for you to learn is to learn to draw, right? Because like I said, it's think about it in any area, right? You can think about, I need a blueprint to create my house, right? What's the first thing you do? You need to draw it, or you need to design a hat. So you need to draw it in order for you to understand what is it about, right? So drawing, it's the skill for me, right? Because it gives you the comprehension and and everything else, right?
Yeah.
So if you learn to draw, you can later on animate, but not the other way around,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
Those
so yeah,
basic skills for sure go a long way in taking you to the next level in what you do. Um, you know, you've been in the industry a bit and you learned a lot. Was there any great piece of advice that somebody gave you or told you that really kind of helped you along the way?
yeah, many mentors. I've had many um, great mentors. Let me think about it.
Like what? Like I don't know. Any just something that a mentor told you to, hey, you need to focus on this or don't focus on that, or just something that you kind of go back to from time to time that really kind of helps you along in your journey. And it doesn't
Well,
even have to be, I guess, related to art. It could be a friend that said something that encouraged you, or your parents that said something or did something that encouraged you, or just was a great piece of advice.
I don't know, something that comes. I've always take a lot of from movies, from um and they're really inspiring to me, and they're always like giving me like whispering things to me. That's something that I love about movies. Like, I think they whisper you like the most important things about life.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There might be like hundreds of things that I can think of, but at this moment, a scene comes to my mind right now, which is there's the last samurai from where's Tom Cruise in this
Yeah.
movie, and he's fighting against a samurai, and he's learning the art of using the sword, and he's against the best samurai ever, and he always goes and tries to beat this guy. And no matter what, this guy almost kills Tom Cruise and set him on the floor. And he always crawls back and takes his sword and goes back and goes back and goes back. Uh, and throughout the movie, there's a moment when they are at the same level. Like boom, they have like a moment where they're the same.
Yeah.
Uh, so I remember that scene. Like in many times, is that image, that really drives me nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
and no matter what. And there's another thing which is counterintuitive that it's coming to my mind right now, which is I was with a mentor when I was studying illustration, and I was really young at the time. And I remember you couldn't get from this guy any word of worship. Like he couldn't, he never tell you like, oh, what you're doing is great. Or like, oh, this is so cool. You're doing something great. I could never get. I worked with him like when in many workshops, and I couldn't get a word like that. And I was like, oh, I need that. I need this guy to tell me that what I do is great, right? Um, and I remember like drawing and drawing and drawing many times. And I don't know, I'm not exaggerating. Probably more than 10 years later, I went to one of his workshops, and he told me like, "Whoa, like what you're doing is awesome. Like, what are you doing right now? What are you doing nowadays?" And I thought to myself, finally.
That affirmation of
So
somebody that you admire giving
yeah,
it to you.
I needed that thing. So uh, I think it's really cool to think that now that I'm considering it, sometimes the lack of information or the lack of message could also be a driven force. Something that drives you, because it's not necessarily like your mentor tells you like the ultimate answer. It was the opposite. I couldn't get anything from him. And then 10 years when he told me that, I was like, oh, finally he said it, right?
Yeah.
um so yeah, it doesn't, obviously, like I've been blessed with lots of support from my family, right? All of this drama I created within myself because I've been gratefully, blessed by a great life. I can say that I have like a really struggled artist. No, my life is pretty cool. Like I don't have, but obviously as artists we create like all this hells in our in our head,
Yeah.
right? So um but yeah, I don't know if that's answering the
No,
question.
that answers
Tom.
answer my question good. I wanted because we're going to take a look in a little bit of some of James' work, but I want to understand your process. Like when you sit down to develop a character, kind of what you go through. Just as kind of a heads up, JM and I are going to be working on some courses and classes, doing some live sessions. So definitely going to be looking forward to that. But when you sit down, and you're given this, I guess, brief what the character should be or is, or a framework, what's kind of your process and your thinking when you sit down and start to create this character?
That's a super cool question, Don. And I think it's you can find a lot of the processes if you go to YouTube or whatever, right? And even to Chat GPT or whatever, it can answer you like all the technical stuff about it, right? But what I tend to do nowadays is like if I'm going with a client, is just pour things into me, right? Just tell me, what do you think? What do you feel? What's the thing that you need, right? Um, because I consider every project that you're working on, that's something that I find super cool about it. What Andrew Stanton says. He has won 2 Oscars, for Finding Nemo
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Wally.
Andrew Stanton. Yeah,
One of the best ones ever, right? So he says something really cool, which is creating a movie. It's something extremely hard because whenever you're um, creating a movie, it's like inventing a new color. So there's no a preconceived way on how to do something. And that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it interesting, right? If there's a full process that it's all the time linear and you can do the same thing every time, you're not actually exploring, and you're not actually taking and creating something new and something interesting, right? So I think it is always about having the most information that you can have, but at the same time having the sensitivity, having the experience to take all of that information and to turn it into something of your own, right? So you started, to take all of those pieces, right? Like your client. Remember, uh, I was working with the writers for a Netflix show, and they were just getting started at the beginning, and the descriptions they had for the characters were not clear, right? I mean, they were actually also starting to write those characters, so no one had a realization of what those characters should look like or what they should be, right? So it was this interaction, to tell them and to have like really, really open ears and eyes to see like, okay, what? Tell me, what is the thing that you want, and just be sensitive about it, right? So
And that's another
there's
thing
Hans
too.
Zimmer.
And that's another thing too. Do you feel like the creators now coming up are more receptive to criticism or more resistant to, like I said, there, how some can get really defensive. I mean, it's our artwork. We take it a little personally, when we're creating it. Do you feel like artists now, can take the criticism and the feedback, you know, better than, maybe prior before?
Yeah. The beautiful thing I've seen about that is like the people that can take the feedback, they're the ones that get better faster, right? So if you're willing to listen to the feedback, you'll get better way, way faster. And I remember having like many of those moments where I felt so uncomfortable, like looking, like showing a drawing to this, like he was, to me, he was one of the best mentors I've ever had. And look, showing him drawings that I didn't like, that I knew I didn't like from myself, it was something painful. It was actually something painful, right? So, but having that bravery, and receiving that feedback made me, you know, become better, right? Basically, right? So anytime that you're obviously when you're going for feedback, go for feedback that's someone that you trust, right? It's not that you go for feedback for whoever. Now go for someone that you want to be like that person, right? And so go for that if you can. Go for that feedback. If you can't, just keep improving your skills. Everything about your skills. Like, okay, how can I draw better? How can I paint better? I don't know if that's answering the
No,
question. I
that
don't know if I can ask
that
and
that
the
answered it really well. That answered it well. We're taking a look at some of your work, and you do some fun work. Is there a certain type of characters that you enjoy working on, design more than others? More serious rather than more silly or fun, like this one is. Is there, or do you enjoy whatever it may be, and just the challenge of bringing something visual?
mm,
Because there are some, like I said, there are some artists and character, designers, while they're character designers, they're obviously kind of fall into a niche of they just like doing
yeah.
children style characters and this and that, not like sci-fi or realistic kind of characters, but they can do it, but they more enjoy the fun, silly kind of characters, or the kind of characters that are more geared for teens or kids or a certain genre. Is there like a certain space that you enjoy more than others, or is it the whole that you enjoy?
I think it's really important for us as as artists to keep our curiosity alive, right? So I try to always make that greater, my curiosity to make it greater. So I always, whenever I feel like that's a cool project or whatever, I always try to go on it, right? And it doesn't matter if I haven't done something like that, but when you have the fundamentals, that becomes comfortable, right? It's not going to be like really really hard to get into something new. uh, and I always enjoy actually doing new stuff, because when you start to change your mindset, and it's not just about, I don't know, drawing pretty girls. No, it's not just about that. It's about the fascination of the mechanics of that and the emotions and all the fundamentals behind that pretty girl, right? So when your fascination is about all of those things, whatever comes, you can use it to make that and to portray that. So I don't have like any particular thing that I enjoy. I'm really curious. I'm always trying to expand my horizon, right? So I'm always going for something new,
Yeah.
right? So I enjoy the exploration, and I think that's really important, to enjoy the awe of exploring something new.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned, and I read in your bio about, just this love of learning new technologies and things like that. Is there anything, new and exciting technology wise that you're excited about that you see coming down the pipe and that you think about? Well, maybe I should start, paying attention to this a little more or learning it a little more. What new kind of technology or new thing that you are wanting to learn that's coming down the pipe?
Well, I just came back, from this from this holiday, and I'm actually more in awe about the things about the past. Because I've like there's got to be a reason why those things have been working out, working so much throughout time, right? So there's like a painter like Sorolla, and all of those paintings move me so much. And I don't know, they're over 100 years old or something like that, right? They move me so much. To me, it's more exciting the mixture of the thing, right? So it's like, oh, I can understand what they did back then, and how can I bring them into something new? And I don't know, whatever it might be, right? So sometimes even why not AI? You can use it, right? You can use a prompt, so you can have some sketches and some ideas, and on top of those, you can redraw and start to find out your own thing.
Yeah.
That's something that I actually not with AI. I did it way way back uh, when there was no AI, and I was in this in my first animation job. They had these designs, and they gave me those designs, if I could improve them, if I could make them better, right? And I retraced those. Like everyone in the studio was like, "Wow, that's so cool!" And everyone started to like those designs. And I think we should embrace that idea. Uh, and whatever it might be, the technique, it's like just retrace on top of it, right? That's probably the best technology we can think of, right? Just retrace on top of it and redesign, right? So I'm fascinated about retracing, which is it's not a,
not a new thing, but it's something that, like you said,
yeah, not at all.
you can learn from. Um,
But I'm saying it like in a concept way, right? You can take anything that's new and just retrace it with a new thing from the past. It's so exciting, just to think about all of these subject matters that we have nowadays, right? Um, I will also advise, more than going to the technology, because now we're bombarded exaggeratedly with those things. I would highly advise everybody to look at um, composers for music
Yeah.
and look at what they say about how they create the pieces, how the composers did the music, what was behind the motivations on doing those. And you'll get like really deep moved by, you will get, it's so fascinating, right? Not just to be in one thing, but at the same time, like have all the time like drawing on your center, right? But I'll go and grab from everything so you can feed that drawing skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't say anything about technology actually, but
Well,
um
I mean, again, life's a circle, and I think, like I said, it's as much as we're getting technology and all these new things. I think there is a certain weight and a certain benefit of the basics and going back to the basics and going back to things of just even the love. If you're an illustrator or artist, it's great. A tablet and Cintiq and Toon Boom and all that stuff is great, but there's something, uniquely good and uniquely fascinating about just being able to take a pad and a paper or, pencil and the paper
yeah,
and sit and go out and sketch from what you're seeing and pulling that into an illustration or a character, and seeing how that
yeah.
develops.
Yeah, and it's super cool now that we're talking about this is also take the time and be patient, right? Things are not going to happen like in a week or two. No, they actually take a long time. And many times when you, I mean, when you develop the skill, uh, the technology becomes way more exciting, and you can do way more. It's way more exciting,
Yeah.
basically, right? Because you now have more freedom to move, right? It's like the sculpture that I did I think it was a few years ago,
Oh,
right?
cool.
Uh, Super fun to do, and it took me yeah like 2 weeks or something like that to do it. Uh,
And I'm sure you
and
learned a lot about a lot of different things in the process of making that, you
yeah,
know.
exactly. Later on, I've been doing sculpture, and now I do it way faster, right? And now I can do like instead of 2 weeks, it takes me 2 days, right? But it's willing to to do the exercise. You know, it's like if you're imagine if you're going to the gym, you can't start by with
Everybody
heavy
wants to be
lifting.
buff, but they don't want to sit down and lift up the weights.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. And the most rewarding thing, it's gonna be the hard
Yeah.
way, right?
Yeah.
There's no I mean that's the best path. The best path. If you remember, like the classics, from Pixar, they always had this scene where there was like this really easy road and the long road, and always what they were telling is like you should have taken the long one because the other one was really risky and it didn't worth it.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's like, yeah, when they were finding Nemo and they tell him like you should cross, the dark
Yeah,
cave
that
instead of
chasm,
going
yeah.
up.
Rather than go
Yeah,
up, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and they've done that symbolism many times, and I
Yeah.
always think like, oh, and I think we should also think about that in our lives many times, and that's what life is. I think it's
Yeah.
complicated because of that.
Yeah. And like I
The
said,
hard path.
I think that's the danger, or I guess the downside of AI and generative AI. It allows people to skip that, to feel like that process of, the painful process of hours that you would spend learning a craft, and it allows them to skip over it and kind of, okay, you just jump to the finished thing and type something in and don't have to worry about spending
Yeah,
hours learning perspective or learning design or the principles of animation or anything that are the basics of the craft that you learn. I think that's the danger I feel is what AI is.
Yeah,
It allows people to skip that hard process, you know.
and the other thing that I always mention when I'm in class, it's like I try to go to the basics. So if I don't know, if you don't have a computer or whatever, it might take you longer, but you can do it anyways, right? So many exercises about perspective and all of those things, you should be able to understand them in your mind so well that you can do those things on paper. Obviously, they will take way longer, and paper,
Yeah.
but you can do those things anyways, right?
Yeah.
So
But it's
there's
such an
many things that
amazing skill, though. I can't think of his name. He was a Japanese artist, but he is like
Kim Jong Gi,
amazing in perspective. He's able to
yeah,
draw
Kim Jong
these
Gi.
pictures from these odd perspectives that are just insane. And I'm like, wow, he's got a great detail. He can just see space and he can draw it in any way, and the perspective is just spot on. And so I think, again, that's something that you're just not going to get from an AI prompt or anything like that. That type of attention to detail from any area that you choose to draw from.
And there's something that I think uh, this prompts are missing, which is if you think about, let's say we are ourselves, we're like an AI, right? We've been feeding through, I don't know, millions of years to become who we
Yeah.
are, right? We're the result of all of those things going together so we can be who we are, right? Let's call it just like in a really cold way. Even so, like I don't think so. I think we have a soul and all of that. But even though if we think about it in a cold way, I think all these people are missing something really important, which is the amount of relationships that we can create within our own thought process, right? Uh, you can create a prompt. I don't know. A book could be a prompt, right? And it couldn't be as deep as we are as human beings
Yeah.
because we have the information from our DNA, from everything, from our past, from our parents, from our relationship with environment. Everything makes that prompt way more complex and way more interesting. So going back again, to the sunny theater that I did, that sculpture that was there, it was so special because of that lady that was there, right? And
And it had
there's
meaning.
no,
It had a meaning. It wasn't something
yeah,
arbitrary that you just put in for design's sake.
exactly, yeah.
Everybody,
So
man, we're on an hour and a half here. Everybody just jumping in. We've been having a fun conversation with my man JM talking about illustration, character design, the business of drawing, AI, generative AI, being present in the moment, which is something is very hard to do now with the technology and the things and all the information that's coming at us, being present in the moment, and how that really affects your art. Um, for you, you enjoy teaching and really, sharing your skills to the next generation. What are you excited about when you're talking with your students? When you're talking with, the people that are in your class? What are you excited about when you see them and you see where the work that they're doing?
the coolest part about teaching is that we're a group and we're everyone there is learning. So I don't know what's going to happen. That's what makes it exciting. we will come with serendipities or whatever you want to call it many times. And it's like, whoa, I never thought about that, right? And the more you give, you pour yourself into those things, the more those things happen. So to me, the best part of teaching is that and the selfish part is that I'm learning again,
Yeah.
right? So I'm learning twice, right? So, and that's something that I would highly advise everybody, no matter your level, try to
Yeah.
teach to somebody knows a little bit less than you, and you'll see like you will improve insanely. Uh, Probably that's the best, like the thing that has made me, become a better artist. It's not even, I mean, having great mentors, it's one part for sure. You need to have like those fundamentals. But once you have that, you need to go and give those things back to people, right? Because if you don't, you're not gonna grow.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like, so try to go within, learn as much as you can, and then pour out those things. That's when you're really learning the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't taught to anybody what you know, you're probably not really understanding what you're doing. At least that's the way I've been experiencing
Yeah.
this thing. But to me, it's really exciting. It's really exciting. Like you said, what's the most exciting thing about it? It's like keep learning every time. It's about growing and how can I be better? Keeping that awe. Like always try to keep that awe. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've heard that too, from even people that they have courses and they're teaching people. They say if you really want to learn something, teach it to somebody else, and it reinforces what you've learned, and you just learn that even more and something new with it, teaching it to somebody else, and that really solidifies it in your head when you're able to teach and explain something that you're doing to somebody else. So yeah, I've heard that before from creators as well. Teach what you know, and it helps you to really learn what you know even more. Man, we've been having like I said, this is our kind of closeout episode of the quarter, but we've been having an amazing conversation with my man J.M. Estevez, character designer and illustrator extraordinaire. And like I was telling you earlier, I'm super excited because next quarter, moving forward, as I start to do more kind of like live training sessions and with different areas. Jonathan, I want to get you on for Unreal, but just having creatives come on and show you, teach you the things that they're doing and show you the tools that they're using, their thought process and what they're doing. I'm super excited and super looking forward to having JM back on doing illustration and character design and really showing us hands on how to really level up our design and creativity space. um, as we kind of close out this session, what do you want, what would be that one thing that you would want people to walk away from this interview with and knowing?
Well, I think you can say that, well, if you're here, you truly love design, you truly love to create stuff. So now that you're saying this, it came to me like the question that you asked me before, like what was the thing that one told me, and that's what I would love to tell to everybody. Uh, Back when I was like, I think I was like 80 years old or or something like that. I met this guy, and he was like an enlightened person. I've never seen someone like him, not before or after. He was like a really enlightened person. Like he was all the time. He almost had like this light on top of himself all the time. laughing, and he was like this wise person. He always knew what was right, and he was full of sweetness and life, and he was an absolutely amazing person. And I remember like he knew that he was about to die at that by the end of that year, uh, and he was like telling to people like the last thing that he wanted to say to everybody. And he told me when I was like really little, he told me never stop drawing, always keep drawing. And yeah, that's to me that summarizes everything, because in drawing you have the awe of life, you have the comprehension. Probably the best word, to describe love, it's to understand something, right? So when you draw something, you're loving that. Um, so I would tell, no matter what, always keep drawing. No matter what. If life gets hard or easy, whatever, just to celebrate, or when things are tough, just keep
Yeah,
drawing.
yeah, and a great word of wisdom to kind of help close us out here for sure. Always, keep drawing, always keep growing. That's the thing I always try to keep in the forefront of my mind, is to always keep growing my skills and learning and pushing myself even further. Not easy all the time, but that's
Yeah.
where having a great community around you helps you when you're in those moments of needing to be pushed or needing to learn something new. Be mindful of the people that you surround yourself with, because they're the ones that also helps to keep you growing, and keep you learning and wanting to learn. As we kind of close this out here, hour and a half. That's pretty good. Uh, this has been an amazing, amazing episode. I definitely want to make sure that you connect with JM, because, again, I only showed a fraction of his amazing work, but you can check out more of his work at our station. He's got a great YouTube channel, and going to have some great content on there. Definitely, he's coming back here, and we're going to do some live sessions. Check out his Instagram. Connect with him on Instagram as well, because JM's a great guy. Like I said, I'm so thankful and so blessed to be able to call him friend and have him on. You're part of the Color Emotion family, man. So you're always welcome to come back, and be a part of the show whenever you want, or whenever you're working on something new or got something to share or just want to hang out and talk industry talk. I love it when family members come back and come back home and share. I come from a large family, so hey, that's the way we do it, for sure. This has been a great episode. Like I said, I cannot thank you, enough, JM, for coming on. One, I can't thank you enough for connecting in the first place. It's been so much fun, getting to know you. Cannot wait, and always look forward to when I'm able to meet all my, guests in person, where we can sit down and break bread in person, type of thing. But definitely, if you're just catching this and catching the replay, make sure you go back, because JM dropped a lot of great information, a lot of great knowledge. And it's definitely something that you want to go back and rewatch again and again. And again, JM, graciously said he would love to come back and do like live sessions on perspective, illustration, design. My thing is, moving forward, I really do want to bring all these super talented friends and guests that I have on and bring them back on to do live sessions. It's great and one thing to sit and talk about, what they do, show you their artwork and all of that, but it's a totally different thing having them on demonstrating, showing you their process and the tools that they use and everything that they're doing. Those live sessions are the things that stick. Like, JM just mentioned, being able to teach and show somebody something is a different thing. and that helps it to reinforce it into your head, that skill set. So, man, oh man, I cannot thank you enough. JM, as we kind of close this out, um, if you can, hang on while I in the green room and wait in the green room while I close this out, so we can kind of chat a little bit afterwards. I'd appreciate it. But everybody, please, 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 help me thank again, Mr. J.M. Estevez for coming on and being a part of this show. Hang out in the green room for a second, JM, while I close this out, and talk to you in a second there. Everybody, like I said, this, I cannot thank you enough for joining me and being a part of this last episode of the quarter. Before we take a short hiatus break, I am super excited and stoked for the final quarter of season 6. Please help me reach my goal. Help push me to 1,000 subscribers at least. Like I said, that's nowhere near the new the new number that YouTube threw up there, but that first 1,000 is always the hardest nut to crack for sure. And we're so close. So like I said, I know, with you sharing it in your community, pushing the channel, liking, subscribing, helping to push the algorithm, that will get us there for sure. So I have no doubt that you, my viewers, are going to take it over the edge. I'm super excited about, just the new things during the hiatus that I'm going to try and put in place. Definitely, as always, especially this quarter, appreciate you being as forgiving as you are with the technical difficulties that I've had this quarter. It's definitely helped me to kind of see some things that I need to work on and change. But that is all a part of the show and doing this show live. As you know, from the very first episode, my goal is always to get better and better and better and better. And I think I've done that with the guests and my viewers like you. You've helped to make this show a much, much better show. Well, with hiatus, there's no next guest. Well, there is a next guest, but make sure that you join us in a couple of weeks. We will be back live. Make sure you jump on the social channels, connect with us, check out all the shorts that will be coming out for sure. But definitely, I send out much, much love to all of you, the viewers, for sure. Have an amazing week and an amazing weekend. Remember, if you're anywhere in the South or Southern parts, stay cool because we're in triple digits here. But have a great and productive week. I will see you in a few weeks. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers, everybody.